Men learn from their own mistakes. Wise men learn from the mistakes of others. So in this video, I'm going to go through a couple of my worst self-improvement mistakes. Not only like self-improvement mistakes, honestly, like just generally my life failures, mistakes, and more importantly, what lessons have I learned from them. This is going to be a long ass video without any cuts or any edits, so like bear with me and be patient because the lesson before I started recording this video right now, I've just sat down and thought like, okay, what are a couple of mistakes or just life lessons that I've learned from being on this planet, basically from living itself. And there were a couple of like more positive bearable ones, but there were also a couple of like dark ones. And so let's start with the first mistake, and it is perhaps the biggest of them all: not expecting failure. It is not understanding that the dark times are coming. It is not understanding that it might get worse. So let me tell you a story right here. In October 2023, I was watching a video of Hamza's titled "The Timeline," a realistic timeline or journey, something like that, of self improvement. And this is basically a 40-minute long rant video where he just talks about like how self-improve about the self-improvement timeline, that from the moment you start self-improvement, like what phases you will go through, like what mistakes you will make, and how to dodge those mistakes, and how it goes after that. And one of the things that he talked about in this video was that failure and depression and dark times are always coming. They're always just behind your shoulder. And I would say it like, I will say it honestly right here. I didn't believe that. I didn't believe because just a couple of months ago, so in summer of 2023, I was going through my worst period of my life. And not worse in the sense of like depression or anxiety or just brooding over something. It's like, no. I was going through my degenerate phase of life. I was going through the phase where I was drinking, like partying. I wouldn't say partying, but I was going to a couple of I was going with a couple of guys to a lake in my city, and we would all drink beer and turn on loud music and just scream and shout like etc. I would Then we went to a camp with my class, and I hooked up with like basically five girls there. And so in 7 days, yeah, I need to make a Margaret here in 7 days. And that is not trivial, man. That is not trivial. And so I was going through this degenerate phase in summer of 2023, and then it quickly spiraled down to just basically some awful time in my life. And in October, I was already like free of this anchor of hard time, not of just hard times, of just like bad times. And I didn't honestly believe that it could get worse. I didn't believe that life will throw some unimaginably tough obstacles at you. But that's exactly what happened in December and January 2023 till 2024. So what happened? And at first it might sound like, what the fuck am I even saying right here? Because nobody has died. Nobody, like, life itself didn't throw like an obstacle to me, and unexpected something, like for example somebody died, or somebody got ill, or like I got ill, or etc. Like, how did it happen? How did my life spiral down to just total misery in December of 2023? So, as I said, at that point in my life, from around like October 2023, a couple of months out of this degenerate phase of my life. But if you swing something too far on one side, it will come back with a huge force on the other side. So imagine this kind of like swinging stick, let's just say it it just like it swung to the fate to degeneracy on the one hand, to radical degeneracy. And that's what I did in summer of 2023. But then, of course, it will swing back, and it will swing back to just to philosophy, to just being so pure and just reserved. It's like, I'll explain what I mean right here. So in December of 2023, I got heavily into philosophy, into being like a pure person, let's just say, not being a degenerate, not being a total like idiot. And that's actually, it sounds good. But the problem is that I took it too far. I took it way too far. And so from December to January, I had this period of my life where I wasn't masculine at all. I didn't do anything that with this like masculine zest, because how do you even explain it? This period of philosophy in my life, of being a fucking philosopher, it marked also a deep feminization in myself. I was doing nothing with this masculine zest and energy, and to some degree aggression. And let me tell you something. It is, for a man, it feels awful. It feels awful, especially if you are conscious of it. And this was a problem. I felt conscious. I literally felt conscious of my, let's just say, feminization. Let's use this word right here. And the problem was that if you feel conscious about something, you can change it. But I didn't have enough will, and honestly, to some degree, yeah, I didn't have enough will to just grab my life and to actually do something which is more masculine. I was this was a massive problem for me. I was conscious of my own misery. And this, honestly, like, you might think that being a deep thinker is something good, and it is good. It is honestly good, but sometimes you need to just step away from it. Of course, if you are just trying to be this deep thinker and you take it to extreme, you're not going to you're going to end up in a miserable place. That's exactly what happens when you just go to extremes. When you are an extreme person like I am, like, man, let me tell you something. I'm a very extreme person. I'm a very radical person. If I start doing something, I will just push all my life, just sacrifice everything in devotion to that goal. And the problem is, sometimes, yeah, it might work if I do something which is productive. But the problem is that you need to know when to stop. And I don't know when to stop. And I didn't know when to stop. And so I got a couple of questions and my sort of like life philosophy sorted out, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop it. Like, the train was already moving and I couldn't stop it. And I was day after day, I was just literally becoming less of a man. I was becoming much less of a man, and it ended up in on the 20th of January this year. It's 2024 when I'm recording this. I kind of got this masculine energy back again, and it lasted for a couple of weeks before it got bad again. It got miserable again. And so from around this kind of like my this bit of my masculine period ended is at somewhere around like the start of February. And from that point in my life to, I would say, the middle of March, this was single-handedly the worst period of my life, because it was not about philosophy at all. It was not about like being this like deep thinker or something like that. It was just an uphill battle to just being not depressed. I was literally fighting depression at this moment in my life. And whilst I was conscious of it, I couldn't fix it. I genuinely, like, I tried doing everything. I tried like all of the meditation, journaling, prompts, techniques. I tried everything. It didn't work. It didn't work. And this, I cannot even explain in words how miserable it was sometimes. When you're literally sitting by yourself, this is probably the most awful part. When you're spending time with friends or with your family members or somebody else, like, yeah, it feels fun because you are in the social mood. But when I was by myself, when I was alone, my own brain bullied me. My own brain just, it me there was kind of like two sides of my brain. The one which was telling that, yeah, man, you're a bloody idiot because you are not being masculine, you are not providing for your family, you are not even providing. It wasn't about even providing for somebody at that point. It was about not just being miserable. And the second part of my brain was kind of like a counter pushback to that narrative that I wanted to implant in my brain. And it was telling me, no, you're an idiot because you're not being like a philosopher anymore. You're not being this deep thinker anymore. You're just miserable. So those two parts of my, I know it's kind of tough to understand right now, because probably you haven't went through that period of your life, because you probably weren't so much of a degenerate in your life that you would need to swing back to kind of like a like a philosophical period of your life. And I know it's sometimes tough to understand, but I'll explain what I mean in different examples. So here's the thing. 16th of March, I remember that day vividly. 16th of March 2024. Just, it's currently first of May that I'm recording this. So 1.5 months ago, I got on what's called the Adonis Protocol. It's Hamza's free self-improvement plan. And from that point in my life, it was almost like a placebo effect, I would say, because I would say I changed a lot in, for example, my morning routine. My morning routine was very, um, it was very slow when I was going through that depressed period of my life. It was very slow. I woke up, did a little bit of warm up, took a cold shower, meditated, recorded the video, and then ate my breakfast and went to school. Um, my morning routine changed when I got into the Adonis protocol. I started waking up at 5:30. Till this day, actually, like, till this day, I'm on this morning routine. 5:30, wake up, cold shower, meditation, go outside, then just work straight for 40 minutes. Gratitude journaling. It's like, it is intense, man. I wouldn't say it's intense, but it's like, when in those 1.5 hours that my morning routine lasts, I accomplish more than people do in their weeks. And so this was probably like the only major change in my life. It was honestly more of like a placebo effect, but it worked. This placebo worked, and for it's like 1.5 months have been the happiest in my life. I feel like every single day I wake up and I wake up with a smile. I wake up with a literal smile. I go outside on my morning walk and I feel happy. I feel like I'm doing the right things. But you know what's the thing right here, and what's the lesson of this whole rant that I went on right now? You need to expect failure, because I know for a fact, and it might be difficult for me to comprehend right now. And I wouldn't lie, it's difficult to comprehend, but it's going to get bad pretty soon. Pretty soon, maybe in a month, maybe in half a year, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 hours. I don't know. Maybe in 2 hours I'll get a message that somebody from my family has passed away. Maybe it will happen. It's like it's not good. It won't be good, and this will be tough. Maybe nothing will happen, and my dark period will start in, I don't know, a year or so. Maybe it will also happen. But the moral of the story is always anticipate that something will get bad, and you need to have a plan of action about it. So recently I've read a book called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's a fantastic book. I will soon review it. I have a new series on my channel. It's called literally like book series. And this I'll soon review this book. And one of the things that I've learned from this book is divided into three parts: perception, action, and will. Will, the power of will, I have it. I have it just innately. I have it innately. I have a very strong sense of hope and desire and persistence. I have this shit. I naturally have it. And so the power of will is kind of like, yeah, I have it, and that's good. Action, I also have it. I can force myself to do something that I need to do. My problem is perception, and this is where the interesting thing starts, because this is where most people will fuck up. This is where most people will literally fuck up just simply because they're not anticipating that something bad will happen. This is where you can just premeditate your own misery. I know it sounds weird, the premeditation of your own misery. But the problem is that life is not only just ups or not only ups or not only downs. It's kind of like a curve. It's like it goes like this. So sometimes you get those massive ups, and then you go on downs, and then you go on ups, and then you go on downs. It's like it happens like that. And the problem is that most of us are just too, we have this myopia where see only we only see like from the position of an upwards trajectory in our lives. We only see that we're going upwards, but we will not see that we'll pretty soon go down again. We'll pretty soon go into this depressed period of our lives again. But from this depressed period of our life, we will not see that the end of this misery is near, and we'll soon be good again. This is how life works, and we can we can feel bad about it. We can curse anybody. We can feel awful about it. But this is partly what I think we need to just accept it. It's like, yeah, life will have its ups and downs, and without ups, you will not appreciate um you'll not appreciate the beauty of life. Without downs, you will still not appreciate the beauty of life, because if you have not seen the good in life, you will not appreciate the good that is out there. If you haven't seen the bad in life, your own the only things that you have seen are the good ones. If everything is good, then nothing is good. See what I mean? So how can you counteract that myopia? How can you understand that life is going to get tough, or maybe if you are in this depressed period of your life right now, how it will get better? Premeditate it. Just simply just hammer this idea in your mind that yes, life will get tough or life will get better. Not It's not even about like you need to take certain act. It's like, yeah, if you will sit on your couch and do nothing, it's like nothing's going to change. But as long as you keep doing something, I just found that sometimes the natural events will take charge of your own happiness. this is just like, maybe it's, yeah, it's probably something that we need to accept, because this is just fate. This is just fate, honestly. It's like sometimes the natural events will take charge of our own happiness. And I'm saying natural, not in like, I'm not saying that like some government, or I don't know, some like politicians will take charge of our own happiness. No, just sometimes we need to let our own bodies, our own brains take charge of our own happiness. Maybe it's like that. So the second life lesson, the second life mistake that I've made is not being humble. It is not being that, it is not having humbleness and humility to understand that I'm not good enough. I don't know everything yet. And so let me tell you a story right here. Summer of 2023, so already a familiar time for us. I went, as I said, into this degenerate period of my life, and you know what the fun part was? I was reading 12 rules for life at this point of my life. I was going to the gym every 5 days a week. I was meditating every single day. So I was on self-improvement. I was doing all of the productive habits. But the problem was is that I I built up some confidence, I built up some muscle, I built up some knowledge, and I just used it in the wrong way. I used it to just be a degenerate, to justify my own degeneracy, because like, yeah, I built some muscle so I can go to the beaches right now and just go this like party mode or something like that. It's like, no, wrong. You cannot do that. And this is a message to myself, because yeah, I haven't been to like a beach party for a year right now, but for almost a year right now. But the problem is that most of us are prone to having what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is basically where you learn something in a new domain. You learn just a bit there, just a tiny bit, maybe less than 0.1%, maybe even less than 0.01%. And you think that you are an absolute genius. You think that you are like literally blessed, enlightened with that knowledge. And you don't even understand that you haven't learned a shit yet. This is where most of us fail. This is where most of us quit. Because life in general, you when you die, you probably have less than 0.1% of knowledge that is out there. And that's the beauty of life, honestly. It's something beautiful that there is so much to learn in life that you will never get. You'll never end your life. Sorry, like you'll never. How do you even say it? You'll never end up knowing everything. You'll never end. The amount of information and knowledge out there will never end, and it expands every single day. The new studies, new videos, new books, etc. Like everything just expands. And the problem is that if you think that you are the genius, if you think that you are the one who is just blessed with some like unbelievable, like noble, godly knowledge, you're you're being the one who is being ignorant. The one who thinks who the one who thinks that he is the intelligent and blessed one, he's ignorant. He's the one who is actually stupid. This is the famous Socrates quote right here. I know nothing. This is the mindset that you need to have in life. I know nothing. This is literally, this quote is so bloody good, I cannot even like overestimate it. I know nothing. It's just you need to repeat it like a mantra. I know that I know nothing. And of course, it's like I've recently heard that idea of from Hamza that you should be like that, almost like you need to almost be like this braggadocious person who has that massive ego, because that massive ego will help you to like get more work done. And if you have a good self image of yourself, it's like, I think, yes, if you have a good image of yourself as a person who can do something, who can accomplish things in life, it's like, yeah, it is good. But not being humble just simply means that you will not learn everything. This is also, I'll quote Steve Jobs right here: stay hungry, stay foolish. And the second part of this quote is more important almost than the first one, because if you stay foolish, that means that you can acquire more knowledge. Because being a fool it's like it's a precursor to being a genius. Because when you realize that you don't know anything in this life, you can acquire the knowledge of everybody and everything in this life. It all goes back to the Socrates quote that I know nothing. But it's just a mindset that you need to have. I made this mistake, I wouldn't say thousands of times. I didn't make it thousands of times. I got humbled pretty early in my self-improvement journey. But and one of the thing that this kind of like the side thing that I need to say, I got humbled by, not by something, but by an event or something like that, but by Ryan Holiday, who's the author of the book Ego is the Enemy. I haven't read the book, but I have watched quite a few videos of him. Not even about this book, but like he implanted this mindset in my life, in my brain, that you should always be humble and strive for more knowledge. So how do you counteract this? Honestly, I think that you just need to repeat the two quotes right here, and repeat and believe in them, like literally believe in them. The Socrates one, I know that I know nothing, and the Steve Jobs one, stay hungry, stay foolish. When you truly live by those quotes, man, you do not understand how much more wise you'll be compared to the average person. So, um, let's finish it up with the third mistake, and it is not so dramatic as, for example, the first one, or it is not so important as the second one. But it's just, if you can if you can implement this in your life, you'll just get miles ahead of everyone. And it's the mistake number three: not totally changing my appearance, not totally reinventing myself. So let me tell you a little story right here, and I'll try to make it quite short and little. 2023, the start of it, the first month, January, February, March, etc. First months of my self-improvement journey. I got on self-improvement. If you don't know me, I got on self-improvement on the 2nd of January 2023, so almost 1.5 years ago. It's like less than a month. It will be 1.5 years ago. And at first, of course, I started exercising, I started meditating, I started journaling. Sometimes I didn't get into the habit of journaling, I would say, until February, March this year, which I'm quite ashamed of saying, but okay, I just started doing some of the good habits. And the problem was is that I still wore the same clothes, still had the same haircut, still had the same life ethics as I did before. Here's the thing: I've recorded a video on my channel, which got a little bit viral, which is titled "How I Made the Fastest Progress in My Life," and on the thumbnail it's just like me in a suit, and there are like some light bars like on the side of like by the side of myself. Like, you can find it. I recorded it pretty recently. And in this video, I talk about like why changing your appearance totally, just getting like a new haircut, getting like buying new clothes, just changing the way you behave. It is going to be so powerful. It's like you don't get into a habit, you don't get into certain life periods by starting to just do some good habits. Like, yeah, you can do that, which I did in 2020, at the start of 2023. But the way to facilitate that is just by simply changing the way you look. Change the way you look and behave, and you're going to naturally start doing all of the good habits. One thing that I did when I got into the Adonis protocol in March this year is that I got a buzz cut and I bought some new clothes. And if you look at the photos of me in March, when like my hair is a little bit more grown out, it has grown out a little bit more since I've got a buzz cut. Of course, 1.5, it has been 1.5 months. But the thing is, it made wonders for me. This buzz cut was just a signal. It was just screaming to me that no, you are not capable of living the normal, average, mediocre, mundane life anymore. This is something just simply which is not allowed to you anymore. This is bloody prohibited. You are on self improvement right now, and you have been for more than a year right now, but it's time to man up. It's time to actually stop whining about your depression and actually going into war with it. And this is how I beat my depression. This is how I've beaten it. It's just by simply getting. I wouldn't say it's like it wasn't so easy. Just just get a buzz cut and all of your life problems will be now gone. It's like no, of course not. But it's one of the big parts of it. It's like if you really want to get into a new life period, change the way you look completely. Completely another. I'm not saying that you should like go and have like a facial surgery or something like that, but just get a new haircut, get some new clothes, just do something about it. This is the third mistake that I made, not changing my appearance. So it's not dramatic. It's not something like I would have died if I didn't do it. But it's like if you can learn the lesson right here, you'll make amazing progress. And so with that, if you let me just put a pitch in the end, if you really want to make some like great progress in life, if you really want to just become a superior man, you can get coaching from me. I've been on self improvement for 1.5 years right now, as I said, and there are many more life lessons and mistakes that I have learned. And so, if you want to shortcut all of the progress that you will need to make, all of the just trials and tribulations that you will need to go through, you can get coaching from me. 1 hour will cost you €10. My email on which you need to write is linked down below. And so with that, I hope this will help you, and see you in the next one.